Good morning, distinguished guests, colleagues, keynote speakers, panelists, and friends. It is a great pleasure to welcome you today to the Faculty of Science at Charles University in Prague. I do so in my capacity as Chair of Cost Action Project, Parental Leave Policies and Social Sustainability, and as the main organizer of today's final conference. I'm truly delighted to see so many of you here in person, as well as those joining us online. This hybrid format reflects one of the key strengths of our action, the ability to connect researchers, policymakers, and stakeholders across countries, institutions, and disciplines, and to bring them into a shared conversation. Today's conference has a clear and important purpose. It is an opportunity to reflect on what we have learned about parental leave policies and their role in contemporary societies, but also to look ahead and ask how these insights can inform future research and policy making. Parental leave is often approached as a rather technical policy field. We speak about duration, benefit levels, eligibility criteria, or take-up rates, but behind these perimeters, the much deeper and more fundamental questions. Who can afford to have a child? Who can afford to take time to care? How are the costs and responsibilities of parenthood distributed between women and men? And how do these policies shape life courses, families' futures, and broader societal outcomes? These questions have become particularly pressing in the context of ongoing demographic change across Europe. Many countries are experiencing declining fertility, postponement of parenthood, increasing uncertainty in life direction, and growing diversity in family forms. This brings us to an important shift in perspective. The key issue is not only whether people want to have children, but increasingly whether they are able to realize their reproductive plans under existing social and institutional conditions. In this sense, parental leave policies are not just about the period following childbirth. They are part of a much broader institutional framework that shapes how individuals deal with education, employment, partnership, and parenthood across the life course. The Cost Action has provided a unique platform to study these issues from a comparative European perspective. It has allowed us to connect research on gender equality, labor markets, child well-being, and social sustainability, and to understand parental leave not as an isolated policy measure, but as a part of a wider ecosystem of family policies. Equally important, the action has created a space for dialogue between research and practice, bringing together academic expertise with policy experience has been one of the most valuable aspects of this collaboration and something we aim to continue beyond the lifetime of this project. And now, it's my great honor to invite representatives of our host institution to address you. I would like to warmly welcome and invite to deliver their opening remarks the Vice Rector for Accreditations and Quality of Education at Charles University, Associate Professor Karel Kouba, the Dean of the Faculty of Science at Charles University, Professor Vladimír Krylov, and the Vice Dean for Geography Departments at the Faculty of Science at Charles University, Associate Professor Luděk Šídlo. First, please welcome Vice Rector Karel Kouba.
Dear Dean of the Faculty of Science, dear colleagues, dear distinguished guests, it is a pleasure to welcome you all today and to open this discussion on parental leave, an issue that is not only deeply important for families, but also highly relevant for science and public policy. I sincerely hope that the conclusions that you reach today remain publicly relevant and that the public authorities will be inspired by your empirical research. Especially at a time when, in current politics, form too often triumphs over content, evidence-based discussion is more necessary than ever. As Charles University, we are uniquely positioned to inform this debate. The topic of parental leave has a strong background at the Faculty of Science of the Charles University through long-standing demographic research on family, fertility, and reproductive behavior. The Department of Demography and Geodemography has long focused on how the conditions for family formation are changing, how the timing of parenthood is shifting, and how public policies shape the possibilities of reconciling work and care. This research focus is also rooted in a broader tradition of international comparative work on family policy. This long-term expertise has been further developed through cost actions, which now connects researchers, policymakers, and stakeholders from over 40 countries. At Charles University, we strive to ensure that our research is not only academically rigorous, but also relevant for policymakers and connected to the real challenges facing society. As a political scientist, I know that policy relevance is not always easy to achieve. Many of us work hard to produce research that is empirically robust and socially meaningful, yet we often struggle with how to ensure that our findings actually shape public debate and policy making. This is why gatherings like this matter. They create a bridge between academic inquiry and political decision making. Thank you for contributing your expertise to this conversation. I wish you a productive and inspiring discussion. Welcome and thank you.
Thank you. And now please welcome Dean Vladimír Krylov.
Dear Vice Rector, dear Professor Kocurková, dear colleagues, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. Okay. It's my great pleasure to welcome you at the Faculty of Science for the final conference, the Cost Action, Parental Leave Policies and Social Sustainability. And we are pleased that this important international event is taking place here at Albertov, at the Faculty of Science. The topic of parental leave, family policy and social sustainability is closely connected to the long-standing research tradition of our faculty, especially in demography, family studies, and the analysis of social change. Parental leave policies concern much more than individual families. They are linked to broader questions of gender equality, work-family balance, child well-being, labor market, and the long-term resilience of our societies. At a time when many European countries face declining fertility, changing family patterns, and increasing care responsibilities, these questions are highly relevant. This cost action has created an important platform for international cooperation. It brings together researchers, policymakers, and stakeholders from many countries and disciplines. Such cooperation is essential if we want to understand not only how parental leave systems are designed, but also how they work in practice, who can benefit from them and how they can be improved. I would like to thank Professor Jiřina Kocurková and all colleagues involved in this course action for their excellent work and for bringing this conference to Charles University. I also thank to all speakers and participants for contributing to this dialogue between research, policy and the practice. I wish you an inspiring conference, fruitful discussion and many new ideas for the future cooperation. Thank you and welcome at the Faculty of Science.
Thank you. And now, Vice Dean Luděk Šídlo, the floor is yours.
Dear colleagues, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. As the Vice Dean of the Geographical Section of Faculty of Science at Charles University, it is also for me great pleasure and honor for me to welcome you all here in Alberto at the final conference of the Coast Action Parental Leave Policies and Social Sustainability. As a demographer from this faculty, myself, and in my capacity as the president of the Czech Demographic Society, this gathering holds a very special significance for me. Here at the faculty's Department of Demography and Geodemography, we have a long-standing tradition of researching family dynamics, changing fertility patterns, and how public policies directly shape the ways people reconcile work and care. Today, this research is more urgent than ever. We are living in a time of unprecedented demographic shifts, marked by declining fertility rates and evolving labor markets. In this context, parental leave policies are far more than just financial tools for individual families. They are core institutional mechanisms that directly influence gender equality, child well-being, and societal gains. What makes this specific initiative so special is its incredible international scale, connecting experts from many countries, and its deep roots in over 2 decades of comparative work. Over the next 2 days, this conference will bridge the gap between academic research and real policy making. I'm confident that this dialogue sparked here will stimulate future international cooperation and foster societies that are both inclusive and socially sustainable. Thank you all for bringing your expertise and passion to Prague. I wish you a highly inspiring, productive, and successful conference. And thank you to Jiřina and her team to organize this conference. It's a great job. I really appreciate it. Thank you.
So thank you very much to all 3 speakers for your kind welcoming remarks and for your support. And now we will proceed to the keynote part of our program. So let me now briefly introduce our keynote session that will help frame our discussions today. The themes we have chosen go directly to the core of the current debates on demographic change and family policy. As I mentioned earlier, one of the central challenges we face today is not only to understand why fertility is declining, but also to ask how societies can create conditions that enable individuals to realize their reproductive plans. This requires moving beyond simple descriptions of demographic trends towards a deeper understanding of the relationship between individual preferences, structural constraints, and institutional arrangements. It is precisely this broader perspective that our keynote speakers will bring. Our first keynote speaker is Dr. Tomáš Sobotka from the Vienna Institute of Demography. His work is among the most influential in the field of fertility research in Europe. In his lecture, he will address one of the most pressing demographic questions in Europe today. Our second keynote speaker is Professor Annelise Ringsater from the University of Oslo, a leading scholar in the field of work, family, policies, and gender equality. In her lecture, she will address how policy frameworks can correspond to current demographic challenges, particularly in terms of supporting the reconciliation of work and care. It is now my great pleasure to invite our first keynote speaker, Dr. Tomáš Sobotka, to give his keynote address.